The complex sales process to me is one in which you're identifying it as complex because it has so many steps. I'm going to talk about how I go into a situation like that and make it simple. People can use this, like you can use it inside your company, but then I've also had, I know I have a few consultants who listen to these things, and you can actually take this as part of your methodology as you're out working with clients. Here's how the whole thing is structured, is I am going to talk about how to frame these complex selling situations working with clients with 4 big concepts, and then I'll give you 8 tactics right after that you can put to use immediately. Usually they last about 45 minutes, but so you don't walk away with, wow, that was a lot of ideas, but I don't know what to do next. We'll talk about how to put one of these to use immediately. So let's start with the big ideas. Most of my big ideas start in the same place, which is know where you are today. You got to start where you are, assuming you know where you are. The reason this is so important is because if we don't have a clear idea as to where we are today, it's really hard to adjust later. It's important to you because you need to show progress, you need to be able to troubleshoot, and you need something to compare against so that you can show progress. It's like climbing a hill, right? You just need to be able to look back down and say, hey, we were there. We need to still go all the way up there, but at least we're making progress. So how do you do it? The easiest way is to assign someone to take and just ask them for a snapshot of everything they consider to be a KPI. And if you're work through the organization that way, what are the KPIs and what are they today? Then we have something to work with where we can see what we're impacting going forward. In a complex sales process, that can include anything like average contacts per company, literature requests from the marketing side, or proposals from the sales side. Sometimes you get lucky in this process and you capture everything that was going to be important to you in a year from today, but most of the time just going through the exercise is enough to at least identify where this data is hiding. So when you get to be a year from now and you're like, boy, it's too bad we weren't tracking this, because I think that's where it's showing up. You at least know where to look to go backwards. It's kind of serves a dual purpose. One is it tells you where you are today, but then the other thing is that it's an exercise that helps you identify where you're supposed to be. I work with a heavy equipment retailer and wholesaler. Actually, they do both retail and wholesale. And in our initial conversation, we had this big overview that we titled, These are the things that you should do. They didn't actually hire me at that moment, and so they took all those instructions and they started implementing everything we talked about. They took great notes and literally just started going after everything we talked about, and guess what? Their key indicator that they were after, it went up. That was revenue. Unfortunately, when they pulled me back in, they said, okay, Greg, we're seeing increased revenue. We're ready to have you help us. We were still in the same place. We were as blind as we were the day that I came in the first time. We were at square one. With that story, I'm an advocate for action. Take action. They were better off than they would have been if they had done nothing. But at the same time, if you could just take a second pause and collect a really nice snapshot of where you are today, it makes everything in the future that much easier. That's big idea number one.